All right, family, we are now live. Thank you for your patience. Rod was having some technical difficulties with his camera, so you should be able to hear him today, but you won't be able to see him. Rod, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I do hear you. Yes, I do
All
hear you.
right. We on and cracking lacking. Gorilla style.
What's going on, family? How y'all doing tonight? We're gonna have a great show. Let me just get something together. Yeah, we're gonna have a great show, family. Rod Hayes is in the building. Um, oh, they say you was just on a live with Flebrun the other night. They said you was
Yeah.
dropping jewelry, straight jewelry. Shout out to the sister there, Flebrun. Shout out to the sister Flebrun. She be holding it down with the alien talk, the space talk, and all of that stuff. She be going in. Shout out to
Mm-mm.
that sister.
You know I don't be want to talk about no aliens. I want to talk about what we gonna do about Earth.
Yeah,
But sometimes you got to talk about aliens because it's related to what we about to do on Earth.
right, right,
So
right.
you can only avoid it for so long.
Indeed. Now you told me that since my first interview with you. You was like, man, I really don't want to talk about that, but I feel forced to talk about that. So yeah, you been telling me that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this thing started. All right, Ross. So the name of the show is Lifting the Veil Between Heaven and Earth. Bobby Hemmond, I remember Bobby Hemmond used to talk about the veil is getting thinner. And he
Mm-hmm.
talked about there was a time when Earth fell in the third dimension and always wasn't in third dimension, and the veil, uh the worlds was merged together. I guess there was a what they call a conjunction of the spheres, and that's when people was able to see things that we don't see now. You know what I'm saying? All types of shit that we don't see now. So he said when the veil got thick, or the world fell into the third dimension, he said that's when we all lost our powers that we see in the comic books now, that we think is just entertainment. That's when we started to lose those type of abilities. Well, not lose, I guess forget, or they went dormant. You know what I'm saying? But they're saying that the veil is getting thinner now, Rod. And what we lost, I guess it was in the fall of Atlantis, we are now regaining. And want to have a conversation with you about this veil getting thin before from the in between these dimensions, and what that means for us, Rod.
So they talk about the veil in masonry.
A lot, yeah,
Um, the lifting the veil of the shrine, the sacred shrine that are Black Madonna,
yeah,
the tomb of Hiram Abiff, all of them is behind the veil,
yeah.
right? There's all concepts that's actually formulas for physics problems.
Mm,
When we really looking at it being translated into our modern language from ancient times using the symbolism,
mm-hmm,
right? So the symbol carried the original meaning into the future, but it's like when everybody telling the same story and it go around the room, it don't come back like it started.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the symbol remains the focal point to keep people looking at it for what it is instead of what the illusion is telling them it is. So the one thing we do, if we want to know what's behind the veil, first we have to understand the veil itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? The veil is part of the Kali Yuga time cycle
Mm-hmm.
that put us in the sleep state as the gods, the resting state for the gods. So all of the gods been working for trillions of years, and then all of a sudden the superior god say, "Go take a nap. You need some rest."
Mm,
So you go through the Kali Yuga, which is the state of ignorance, the darkness of the mind.
mm-hmm.
So the darkness of the veil comes from the emptiness of space that resides as mind, where the mind got to fill the space and build the diagrams, which is the physics formulas to put everything back in order within the mind the same way it's put together outside the mind, and use the inner self as a mirror for the outer self. So it's telling you principles of high magic, but it's simplifying them where you could just tell somebody that the veil itself is telling you how to lift it by learning certain key magical practices,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Or mathematical studies. So it's hardwired into everything,
mm, mm, mm.
right? But it's scattered out to you have to get to a certain level of recognition that you can see it being reflected in all of the things around you,
Mhm.
right? Then you start tracking it back to try to find out the source. Where did this come from? Once you find out the source, when it happened, what did it mean? So you while you learning and understanding that there's certain practices that's required to lift the veil or rent the veil is what they call it,
Mm,
right? These practices are all mentalism. They
mm.
all deal with powers of the mind, being able to align your inner world to your outer world until you can melt away the ripples in the current.
Indeed. Yo, did anybody here at like the 3 minute mark when Ra was talking? It sounded like this nigga was on a spaceship, and it was like like it sounded like real like an alien was behind him talking. Y'all could rewind it and listen, but underneath him it sounded like an alien, like a spaceship or something. Did y'all hear that? it was yeah, like the 3 minute mark, right? Rod, where you at, man? Cause you ain't got the camera. You on a spaceship, Rod? Where Rod at? They done abducted him. Rod, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
yeah, yeah. My brother David heard it. See, David was like, I heard it. Yeah, somebody said like digital artifacts. What was that, Rod? We think there's some shit going on. Or I'm just being a conspiracy theorist, man. What's going on?
Rick, everything in the world is holographic by nature.
Ooh, yeah, there you go. That's that talk. That's that
This is
talk.
one of the ways you understand the veil.
Yeah. Uh. Mm.
Michael Talbot, Holographic Universe. Remember?
Yes, got it. Bobby Hemming told me to get that book. Yes.
hmm Now, do you understand how a holographic projector works?
Yeah, somewhat. Every piece of the hologram has the whole hologram within it.
That's the fractals of the hologram,
It's fractals. Okay, okay.
right? The fractals are like the pixels on your phone that come together to form the whole image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fractals is coming together to form the image of everything in the universe.
Mm.
Now, if you take one fractal, everything in it is the same information that's in the whole of the universe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That means that each fractal has enough information in it to explain everything.
Indeed. Indeed.
But we got to first understand the smallest part first,
Right.
right? So when we're looking at lifting the veil, we're trying to get the mind, right? Remember they say in the New Testament, it say, let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said, what else it say? And who thought not it to be a sin
Mm.
to make himself equal with God,
God, yeah.
and he was made so by the thinking of the mind,
Mm.
right? So you want this mind to be in you. If you don't think like a God, you will never understand what God thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll always be behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
So when you want to lift the veil, you got to start asking yourself, because remember, you can't lie to yourself.
Nope. Mm-mm.
You lie to everybody else,
I talk about that
but
all. People lie
you
like a
can't
mother.
lie to yourself. Because as soon as you try to lie to yourself, guess who already know you lying? You already know you lying. right? So you can't lie to yourself because you have to have the inner dialogue to come up with the story that's going to be the perfect lie, or so you think it's the perfect lie,
Mm-hmm.
right? That means you got to first, you and your inner self had to concoct this story.
Right.
It's the same with the external world. Whatever it is going on inside of you, working with the other pixel projectors, y'all are telling the same story
Mm-hmm.
at the same time,
Same time.
right? But then the wave that moves through the pixels,
Mm-hmm.
like the sun moved across the earth, when the waves moved across the pixels, the ones that's not getting the direct light, not lit. And you can still use the darkness in order to use it as a backdrop to line in the color. All of the colors that's being projected is contingent upon being laid upon, overlaid over a dark screen, right? Because when you look at the um, streamers in the Matrix, you see the neon green,
Yeah.
but you're not paying attention to the background black.
Right.
Okay, now when you look at the picture behind you now through the screen, you're not realizing that it's being reflected off the pitch of the dark black.
Mm-hmm.
If you zoom in between the pixels or the pixels on the screen of the photograph, the further you get in, you find out that it's more black there than it is actual color.
Mm-hmm.
Dark matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the composition of what the veil made of. The dark matter of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind. So we all be put under a hypnotic spell,
Mm-hmm.
right? The hypnotic spell make us believe that everything we agree to is what we projecting out, never knowing that we projecting out not what we agreed to, but what we was told to accept.
Mm-hmm.
Once you realize that we the ones projecting their reality for them, we can hijack their system by projecting our own reality. This is why you need leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders give you a focal point to put the energy so that you can know who winning the game.
Mm. Rod, let me ask you this, Rod. With the information you're talking about, and we're talking about the thinning of this veil. One of the words that we hear continuously is the ascension of the soul, and how our spirit is. People talk about ascension symptoms, ascension this, ascension that. What word is better to describe what we're experiencing right now, Rod? Would you say ascension or would you say remembering? What word do you think is better suited for what we're experiencing right now at this time?
We're graduating.
Mm.
Everybody's graduating from a different class, but we all graduating.
But we all graduate, but just different classes. You saying?
Yeah. Imagine a K through 12 one school.
Yeah.
We all in the same school. And we get a graduation ceremony, but we only notice the ones for the fifth grade graduation and for the high school graduation. We remember them, but we remember we've been passed up class to class from the beginning.
I thought deaf was graduation.
That's the final graduation. That's when you exit the school,
Right. Okay.
right? But while you in the school, you graduate from grades.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
Okay, now, and to put it in terms that a traveling man can understand, we call it putting it in degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 3 degrees of Blue House Masonry in the Apprentice Fellow Craft Master Mason. But when you get to the Scottish Rite, then you got over 32 degrees to contend with. Plus, you got an honorary 1 1/3 that was given to the 33 and the third in order to make him be above freezing at 32 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we master flipping by unraveling the meaning of the veil and then telling you what it's telling you that you're looking at.
Got you. That makes
Right.
sense.
So all of the traveling men right now is in utter amazement because they thought they thought that the um, degrees that they was getting was making them important in the brotherhood. But it wasn't the degrees they was getting, it's what they did to get the degree that gave them value, right?
Mm, mm. You know, can you hear me, Rod? Because it sounded like he was breaking up. Can you hear me? And I think he's for some
Hold on
reason.
a second, brother Rich.
Okay. You give Rod Hayes a second, family. Let the brother get a brother a second. All right. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We almost had 2,000 in the chat. Great way to start the show so far. Yeah, the veil is thinning, and I know y'all hearing and seeing things and feeling things that y'all haven't felt before in your lives. This show is really to let y'all know that y'all not going crazy, regardless of what the world and society tells you. Maybe some of y'all might be a little crazy. Everybody's a little bit crazy. A little crazy is good in a world that's crazy. But don't worry about it, y'all. We are
Listen,
on the
brother
right
Rich,
track. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you back? What's up, brother?
look, sane people
Mm,
look insane to people that's insane.
there you go.
Insanity can be manufactured and given to you as a contagious aberration.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about contagion aberration in Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they don't tell you that the different people can give you their thought form. It's the egregore at that point.
Mm.
They infecting you with an egregore that in Dianetics is called an Ingram, but
Ingram?
it's an Ingram.
Mm.
And the Ingram is the negative thought form that puts you a bad operating system in your mainframe. So you go back to the computer principle, um, garbage in, garbage out. So if you know how to disrupt the program, this is where you dumping the garbage in at.
Right.
It's a breach in the wall. You're giving it to somebody as a thought form based on your character and disposition,
Mm.
right? So they sitting there and they listening to you talk your talk, but you influencing them to get the Ingram in by inferring what you believe and let their mind take it from there and they can slightly twist it to fit their own narrative
Right.
because they still got to fill in the blanks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when the understanding of how it works becomes known to the people, it make it easier to see through the deception. The problem is that when they first see it, they don't believe that they seeing what they seeing. When they exactly what you see, the
Right.
level of corruption you see is worse than that.
Mm.
No matter how bad you think it is, it's worse. The level of um, human trafficking that you think it is, it's worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much worse than what they doing in they adrenochrome factories and underground torture cities, right? It's so much worse because our mind, the regular person with a good, generous heart, they mind don't think people think that wickedly.
Right.
But all it is the extreme opposite of the good and the good people.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have the law opposites in the realm of polarity, right? The polarity comes in, and now we're talking about what Masonry call your right severity and mercy. Why do they call them severity and mercy? Because you learn between the buffer and the stressor. The mercy is the thing you want to move toward. It's the buffer. And the stressor is the stuff you want to move away from,
Right.
right? And that's the stressor.
Right. Right. Right.
So if you want to teach somebody something, you expose them to both of them repeatedly, and they 9 out of 10 gonna pick the right one based on what they trying to do.
Indeed. Rod, I want to ask you, in terms of the veil being thin, and people can feel certain things that they didn't feel. I notice sometimes when I wake up, Rod, when my spirit returns to this realm sometime and I wake up from it could be an intense dream, or it could just be a certain type of sleep, and I wake up and I got this eerie feeling, and I'm like, and I feel like I'm still in between worlds, and I feel like I got a lot of control over this realm, because I'm like Neo in the Matrix almost. That it's like that first hour or some shit like that. I want to know that feeling, is that going to be like a all day feeling for us? The more the veil thins, like we're sort of like this eerie in between world feeling where we're totally not here. Is that how we would describe that feeling when the veil gets extremely thin and the worlds merge?
Well, we all have inner talents,
Mm.
either skills that we develop or talents that we brought from past lives that we was born doing, right? The lifting of the veil is about the awakening of the mind. So the mind going through the Kali Yuga, the dark state.
Wait, hold up, Rod. They saying our mics are going in and out. It's I listen, family. I hear Rod fine. How is it with y'all? The mic situation. So both me and Rod are breaking up.
That could be the YouTube.
The sound is bad. Hey, Rod, let's both go out and come back in.
Okay.
See if that helps. All right. All right. Yeah. Rod, you hear me, my brother?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Yeah, look, people are saying I was good. So it's just some people. Then it's not every. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, it's just some of y'all. All right. Y'all good? Okay. All right, Rod, go ahead, my brother.
What was we on?
Yeah, I'll ask you that question about waking up and having that eerie feeling the first hour I'm awake, where I feel like I'm in between worlds, but that feeling doesn't last the whole day. It's just for that first hour I'm awake. And I want to know, is that feeling something that we would experience throughout the course of the entire day? Because the veil is so thin and the worlds are more joined together.
So the reason why it's the first hour after you wake up is called a serotonin response.
Serotonin response. Okay.
Right. Now remember, during the day your serotonin gonna convert to melatonin.
Uh,
As you move through your day, the melatonin is gonna be reconverted back into serotonin. Right? It's gonna be feeding you back through your endorphins as serotonin, the happy hormone. Right? But once you then went through the course of the day, you use it almost all up. You have to use your sleep to build your serotonin levels by converting the melatonin back into serotonin. You get me?
yeah.
Okay, now it's the same when you waking up. You're gonna have that serotonin rush when you first wake up
Uh-huh.
because you coming out of you ever see when they tranquilize one of those elephants and they give them the shot to wake them up? That sucker be laying there and then he just pounce up like he was never down.
Right, right, right.
Right, that's the serotonin response.
Ah.
So it's giving you that rush of energy for the day, but you can carry the energy if you practice carrying the energy throughout the day. It'll just be natural. You have to first study it. What do I experience in it? Once you can identify all of what you're experiencing in that feeling, then you can practice it any time of the day until you make it into a habit. And then you'll be able to have that sensation as long as you know you gotta feel this way, you gotta be thinking this, you gotta be disconnected from this bullshit over here and disconnected from that bullshit, and I feel like I'm free. I feel like I'm floating through heaven,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can keep that energy all day. You can use it. They call it shifting to the zone. This is when you learn to use your focus energy to put it into the investment of accomplishing the goal. You go into the zone. You
Mm.
heard about the athletes that go into the zone,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what they're talking about. It's the same thing. But when you live in your challenging life, you will always have the serotonin response that you stepping into the combat zone. You building up the energy, you burning off the excess, you exchanging the energy equally. And this is how you maintain the balance in your serotonin melatonin ratios. And then the side effect is to give you this feeling that this feel the best feeling I ever had. I could take on anything,
Mm.
right? Headstrong, I take on anyone. But it's the energy exchange that's taking place through you love the life you live, so you create more of that, so that you can have more of a loving life. I
Right.
tell the warriors, turn your war story into a love story.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason you're here. But for the gardeners, right? I tell them to turn their gardening story into a love story.
Right.
It's the
Right.
same principle.
Right.
Whatever story you live in at the end, you want to turn it into a love story, right? Because once you turn it into a love story, you change all of the negative meanings of life to work for the positive outcome of concluding on a love story.
Mm.
So you guys like watching a love story in a movie. You
Right.
had to have the meeting, the introduction, the build up. Then you got to round out to the finale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at your life. You went through this. I came up from out of that. I moved over here and I moved out of that. And then you find the love story in it.
Mm. Rob, with the veil getting thin, they said when the veil was thin before, people would see all types of creatures that we hear about in books. I want to ask you, Rod, you ever had experiences with fairies and stuff like that? You know how we hear about
All the
fairies.
time.
So yeah, what's your experience? Damn, you said
Listen,
that. You said all the goddamn. I didn't expect you to say. Oh,
look, Brother
what's up
Rich,
with that?
remember I told you before, I said in this part of the earth realm where
Uh-huh.
we at now, in this reality, nobody's allowed to come in a mythical form. Remember me telling you that?
Yes, you told me that plenty of times. Yes, indeed.
Right. They look human because they take on a human form. The fairies, the gnomes, the water sprites, the fire sprites, they take on human bodies in the realm of the humans because we the highest evolved creatures, closest to God walking the earth. And when they come in out of the mythical plane, that's what they call it, because this is where all the myths is kept alive. The energy just transfer into the human arena so we can play mortal humans.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them still there. Your unicorns, your fairies, your leprechaun is the Bantu peoples that was living in Ireland when the Catholic Church was murdering them all. That's why they say he killed the snakes, because the women wore snake armbands and the men wore the snake headband.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
He ain't killed shit. Ain't there wasn't no snakes. Ain't wasn't no snakes in Ireland. There's no history of snakes in Ireland. There's no
Mm.
fossil record of a snake ever being in Ireland.
Damn.
So what snakes was all clear? St. Patrick killing then. If it ain't never really been no snakes there, and he was made a saint by the Catholic Church for killing snakes, what snakes is he killing? What kind of serpents is these he's killing?
Right. Damn.
They're called Nagas, Nagas.
And that's That's a
So
people. That's a people.
that's yep, that's the ancient royal families of the earth, the Nagas. Their descendants is the Amaru Khans of the Southwest Americas, moving into Peru and Bolivia and all that stuff.
Right.
Going down into the monkey village in South America when it was the journey to the west of Hanuman, Sun
Mm-hmm.
Wukong journey to the west, right where the Buddha sent him to get the Buddhist scroll,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when during you see the monkey cities in South America, you see the monkey and the Nazca lands that's native to another part of the world, right? And it's on there with the phoenix. We see the symbol of the baboon representing Tahuti and Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
The monkey man is the Sako mile. When your elders kept putting these certain symbols there, what was they trying to tell you? Have you ever asked yourself, if I was my ancestor and I painted that, what would I be trying to get my descendants to understand? Because then yourself gonna have to make you look at it from a perspective as if you wrote it.
As if you wrote it. Right.
And once you look at it as if you wrote it and you was trying to get a message into the future, you think how many generations, and then you'll know how the evolution of time will cause the message to be distorted,
Right.
right? And the distortion comes in during the Kali Yuga, which is the dark phase. This is the moon cycle of the 24,000 year cycle. The global warming is a sign that there's a sun cycle returning,
Mm.
and a moon cycle, a lunar cycle, which is a cold cycle, leaving. So when the sun cycle come in, brings the golden age with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a look at the lifting of the veil, as in the transition from the night sky to the early morning sky.
Mm-hmm.
And the mirror is that orb that's coming over the horizon is you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you just broke through Kepler. Now you rolling across the sky, across the Horus horizon. And we know that when Horus is done rising, he's I-10.
Mm.
He is the eagle in full view of all of the eagle clans. He's the falcon in full view of all the falcon clans. He's the great hawk that's visible to all of the hawk clan in the sky at one time, but all it is the sign of a solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
All of the bird clans tell it the same way. It's the bird with the phoenix wings curling up to the sun,
Mm-hmm.
or the hawk wings, or the falcon wings, depending on which culture is telling the story, depending on which bird is it representing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which takes you to the great thunderbird, Quetzalcoatl, right? The Quetzalcoatl thunderbird means the bird with the booming voice, right? But we know that the booming voice moniker was taken by Enlil, the
Mm-hmm.
god of the skies. It means also the Lord of the booming voice. En means Lord, right? And Lil mean the booming voice or the booming sound of thunder. So they make it have a dual meaning.
Right.
Flip the mirror,
Indeed.
right?
Rod, what all, no, good. You were still talking good. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With all this water that people are reporting, the flooding, I've seen New York, water's been coming down extremely hard in Georgia the last month. I mean, there was a shit, there was one time I think it rained like 14 days in a row out here. And right before our Stone Mountain trip that we did about 2 weeks ago, I mean, it poured raining the night before. We always hear about the floods and when the worlds are ending. Is this water? Some people, I've heard people on TikTok say that this is etheric water. This is water coming from beyond this realm. Is there anything unique about the flooding or the rain or the water that's coming down now versus the rain, the flooding, the water that we seen maybe
The
20 years
pattern, the
ago?
pattern is unique. If you look at the pattern, you'll say those are aqueducts.
Mm. What's
Somebody's opening aqueducts.
what's an aqueduct for somebody who doesn't know, Rod?
It's like an underground dam that holds a large portion of water.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the flood locations has almost zero rain and it's normally dry. The aqueduct's been there for thousands of years, if not millions.
Mm.
They tell us about the ones in other parts of the world, but they don't tell us about the ones over here. You
Mm.
got to remember, they didn't start studying anthropology and archaeology over here until the 17, 1800s, where they've been 200, 300 years prior overseas. They never, when they come with the out of Africa theory, the out of Africa theory is contingent upon Africa being the first place that they studied for ancient artifacts of bone.
Mm.
But America didn't start becoming, I think it was one of them signers of the Declaration was the first archaeologist. And then you had another guy, he was part of some other organization that was the first anthropologist. Right. So they wasn't even studying over here when they came up with the out of Africa theory. No, there was not a sufficient study of the Americas published with peer review for it to even be considered as part of the discussion with the out of Africa narrative. But we have artifacts
Mm.
that's older than people possibly could imagine.
Mm.
Explain that if we wasn't the first. Right. So we trying to get the point across that the oldest contract on the planet is the gender of the earth being feminine, and that the close of each age have to be closed with returning the earth back to the divine feminine, not just the feminine, the divine feminine. This the evolved sisters. This is why we always talk about Big Mama, the ones who have children with sibling rivalries that she's learned how to mediate the conflict between them to make them grow up as a collective strong unit. Them the ones we talking about.
Mm.
Where the other ones fail miserably because they sons grow up killing each other, right? Because they don't teach the family unity. This is how you tell the difference in who people are. Then you got a spectrum by which the family unity is even being discussed. Into what degree? Right? So we have to get back to understanding that who we are and when these stories was being written, they had nothing to do with us. We know history was written by the victors. We know that because they told us that history was written by the victors.
Mm.
Nobody ever disputed it or proved it to be an invalid statement. Therefore, it became a maxim.
Mm.
It's the standing truth that's never been disproven, right? So we know that the truth is so valuable that they're going to guard it with a circle of lies because Winston Churchill told us,
Mm.
head of state during World War II, right? So what is the lie that's so valuable that they got to conceal? If you want to conceal as the victor who the rightful heirs is to a territory so you can maintain your conquest, then the secret that you want to keep is that these people own that land. Because once we overthrow, we overthrow. But as long as we can get them to believe we belong on their land, then we can get them to let us stay on their land for free. Matter of fact, we can even charge them for letting us stay on their land. Be that about
No, for real, yeah.
it.
Wow. Rob, we talk about, I believe, like I tell you earlier, I remember watching Bobby Hemmett talk about when the Earth fell into 3D, and I believe this is during around the Atlantis period, right? Was it around that period?
They didn't went through these cycles
What you said?
trillions of times. These are cycles.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
like how many times in the history of the world have we went through the four seasons?
yeah, exactly. Many
It's
times.
the same thing. It's just on a different scale.
Rod, when did this veil first form? This veil that, I'm sure there was one time when there was no veil at all. Uh, in the ancient books, is there anybody talk about this veil formed out of nowhere, and we see
No, 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 no. And we know exactly what the veil is. The veil is the sleep stage or the nighttime, the Kali Yuga for the god.
Mhm.
This one that we coming out of is artificially induced because of warfare.
Mm.
The stories is told as Verminus wars and as pyramid wars, but they still wars nonetheless. Technology was different, but it was advanced. So they still had bombs nonetheless. The human was inquisitive to understand the fractals of nature, so they learned how to split the atom, of course, right? And they blew up bombs. We got deserts as the aftermath to prove the ignorance of man and the destruction to Mother Earth. And it parallels with the onslaught of what we call the patriarchal agenda. The patriarchal agenda is to take the mother's right of the heritable land by force until there's no more daughters to inherit the land. You get it?
Yeah, Rod.
So
What?
the veil is just like a sleep period.
Okay.
And when the veil is lifted, it's like opening your eyes in the morning,
Hmm.
right? So we understand that the veil is a state of mind. It's a consciousness.
Right.
When you in the veil, you blind, deaf, and dumb because you walking around in the dark, not knowing who you are, not remembering who you were because you are in the dark, right? You can use the darkness for a mirror if you become self-aware enough to do so. It help you discover who you is better,
Hmm.
right? But the goal is when you in the under the veil,
Hmm.
it's the same as being under a blanket with the lights on,
Hmm.
right? Or being in China when it's daylight in America,
Hmm.
right? It's dark over there,
Hmm.
but it's daylight over here.
Right.
It's cycles. So the lifting of the veil, it's not like lifting the curtain on a theater, but you could still look at it like that if you see the world as a stage and we are just actors.
Yo, Rod, I was looking at your avatar. I forgot to ask you earlier, but I'm glad I'm asking you now because there's more people here. I'm looking at your avatar with the eight with the the joint,
Cigar.
um the cigar. I sent Rod family. I sent Rod Hayes the cigar. I'm mad. I gotta do a testimonial, but you're not on camera, so I'm gonna get another one from you later. But Rod, tell the people how was your experience with the cigar? I'm the tobacco chief. Tell them how was it, Rod? Tell them, man.
Hey, look, that cigar was amazing, brother Rich. So when you smoke the herb, when you first start getting high, um your synapses fire erratic, so your nerves be erratic. So we always use the cigars to tone the nicotine from the cigars to balance it out. Man, I hit that cigar, I was so balanced with my trees. I was like, God dang. The only thing it was so wide, the cigar was so fat that it's gonna go bad before I can get to smoke the whole thing. That's the only sad part about it because smoke it on to help focus on certain topics. But man, that mug tasted it tasted better than any cigar I ever had in my life.
Bro, I'm telling you, right? I'm telling that taste is like
But
wow.
I was looking for that energy effect because we haven't had any tobacco that I've tasted since I've been sampling cigars and stuff. I haven't tasted that pure, unpoisoned tobacco flavor in a long time.
Mm.
Because you could taste the chemicals in all the other tobaccos.
Yeah.
You can tell that whoever grew that like with their hands, like they was hands on loving what they was doing, farming that tobacco.
Yeah. I got because I know you said you want the smaller joints. So I got
Hmm.
these are smaller ones. So I'm
Yeah, I could smoke them. I probably smoke a
yeah,
whole one of them.
this is the joint you have, Rod. This is the smaller one. So I'm gonna say
Yeah,
the smaller ones, family. But yeah, family, I
yeah,
told y'all I'm my joint is legit. It is legit. It is legit, family. Make sure y'all, you know, for those who send in a donation, PayPal donation, I could gift y'all one of the cigars. So it's a magnificent experience, family. I've been telling y'all about it for months. So I'll share the PayPal with y'all before the end of the show. I might put it in the description, but yeah, family, you got to try this. Well, I mean, an amazing experience. Was you would you say it's like transcendental therapeutic? What word would you use, Rod?
it's nothing like any other. You won't expect it from a tobacco to be able to be that mellow,
Yeah.
right? It mellows you out, and what it does for the energy, especially for weed smokers. This is why we do both. When you smoke that THC and you start getting that erratic um, THC buzz start coming on,
Mm-hmm.
you smoke. Normally, we smoke a cigarette or a cigar to mellow out the spiking of the weed high.
Mm-hmm.
So you stay high longer, but it's a cleaner high,
Mm-hmm.
right? You get to see more stuff in that altered state, right? And then the nicotine facilitating it. It's doing a similar thing from a different angle,
Right.
right? So the way that the cigar burn, the smell, it man, look. If you ever start selling them, I'm getting a subscription.
Oh man, that's big, Rod. Y'all heard that? Rod said he'll get a subscription. That's how much he feeling it. Yo, Rod, just real quick, since we talking about the veil, and the spirit that's in tobacco, I'll be watching like they be like shows on YouTube where people go to like all these lands and ancient tribes that isn't tainted by modern society. All of them smoke tobacco, bro. Like every single last tribe with these YouTubers that go and they get like millions of views going to these lands, whether it's Africa, South America, Asia, everybody smokes tobacco, Rod. So I'm like, damn, man, what?
All of them not tobacco, Rich. Some of them are other herbs.
Mm, mm, mm.
Some of them are other herbs. Tobacco is just one of the herbs we smoke. We smoke a lot of herbs. Like sometimes I put rose petals in my weed, smoking buds and roses.
Oh, rose petals.
Hmm.
Mm,
Sometimes I use lavender when I really want to relax deeper.
yeah.
I mix some lavender with my trees.
Mm,
Right. So
okay.
we don't just smoke the herb alone or the tobacco alone.
Yeah.
We smoke a lot of different herbs for different reasons.
Mm,
And people be forgetting that we smoking was one of our first ways we had to get medicine into you internally.
mm.
Right. We had learned how to make pills and fucking tonic shit.
Right, right, right.
But we knew how to mix herbs and burn them, put you in a lodge full of the smoke so you can inhale it
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
to heal yourself.
uh-huh,
We've been doing that,
uh-huh.
right? That's what the same with psilocybin.
Right, right, right.
We've been using it for a long time, longer than people can imagine, in order to open the mind up, in order to rent the veil individual by individual.
Uh-huh,
But now we doing it through a collective renting of the veil,
uh-huh.
right? So all of the people are getting genetic upgrade.
Mm,
The genetic upgrade is coming from the solar flare.
mm,
It's,
mm,
they feeding the codes to the earth, and the earth is sending them through the people through the Schumann resonance,
mm-hmm.
right? And this is why only massive amounts of radiation can alter the DNA.
Mm, hmm.
Like
Rod,
that's how you get new species come in off the sudden change of the DNA.
with all this talk about what we're talking about with the veil and with solar flares and everything, fairies and all this stuff, what's your thoughts on the book of Revelation in the Bible, Rod?
It is a coded codex for a certain priesthood to use as as a control measure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Revelations is all coded.
Mm-hmm.
So you imagine if all of the clergy know what it say, but the regular people don't. That's the same as the CIA putting the code on the network that all of the secret society, I mean, all of the secret spy agencies of the world know, but don't nobody else know.
Right. Wow.
And we just had an opportunity to crack the code. That's Revelations,
Mm-hmm.
because most of Revelations is excerpts from books in the Old Testament, and
Mm,
then they was put in that form in Revelations in order to retell the story in a more concise manner. It was the summary. Revelation is the summary of the great prophecies of the Old Testament, put in the order that the church believed that they would play out. And the only reason they believed they would play out because they planned them. And the only reason we know they planned them is because we read Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. And he said they was gonna do it this way. And this is what it was for.
mm-hmm.
So they like they kept it a secret. They just hid it in the book because they knew no ninjas wouldn't look.
Mm, mm.
If they hid it all in the books and we had to go to the books to get it out, then that traced us back to ancient Egypt when they started recording history.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, history used to be kept on crystals,
It used to be
like
kept
used
on
on
crystals,
crystals. Yeah,
like
this is when our blood was more chlorophyll. When we was magnesium and copper instead of iron and copper, right? And so when we broadcast back then, we was able to communicate with the metal ratio to the crystals and allow us to be like we were able to use a crystal like a computer, but it was a crystal and it was more interactive. It was like an artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when the blood was changed over to the iron and copper output, it was not compatible with communicating with crystals. It became compatible with communicating with stone.
Mm.
So we start carving with chisels then
Right.
to put the messages in the stone because we can't communicate with the crystals.
Damn. So we went from the crystals to the stones.
Right. You ever heard the term getting blown back to the stone ages?
Yeah.
What's they talking about? That's what happened. That's the veil. We got blown back to the stone ages. We got knocked into a state of stupidness and had to learn how to re-evolve into a high functioning civilization again. Now we here. Now there's enough of us, more of us educated in the history of the world as they tell it to us. Because if you go back 100 years, 1899, 1900, 99.5% of the people or more is illiterate.
Mm.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Almost everybody on the planet was illiterate. Now, almost the whole planet can read,
Mm.
write, and do math. That's an evolutionary phenomenon in and of itself. 100 years of almost zero literacy to almost 100% literacy. Even if it's just 50% in 100 years, that's amazing. And So they had to use certain people to get it done. Some of us was here before. Some of us had to wait our turn.
Mm,
We watched it happen. We watched it go down, but it wasn't our turn, so we wasn't allowed to get in the game.
mm, mm,
Right now, we all to waited our turn, and now the last resort comes to the last resort. The stone the builder rejected is now the chief cornerstone.
right,
Just when they thought he was going to be stuck as a keystone, he ended up as a capstone.
right.
When they thought they was going to be stepping over him as a stepping stone, they end up being over their head as a crown stone.
Mm. And Rob, speaking of stones, what's your thought? Right before our Stone Mountain trip, meteor came crashing down in Georgia. It was the largest meteor ever seen in the daytime. What's your thoughts on a meteor coming to our atmosphere? Is there anything that we should be aware of? Is that a sign of anything? It looked
They
biblical
have
when you seen this shit on film on camera. This shit looked biblical as hell. Big ass meteor in the middle of the daytime, man. But what you was gonna say, Rod?
anytime you flying around in space with this much space debris, something's going to breach this atmosphere.
Mm,
Normally, because of the Van Allen belt, anything come in,
that's
it's
what I
going to be
thought.
like 90% consumed by fire by the time it touches the ground.
Right.
Right. That's why most of the meteorites that hit the ground are very small compared to the massive craters that they told us was meteorites that was actually dug out by the blast of megalithic bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Most of that stuff can't get through the Van Allen belt, that radiation barrier. If it's only certain materials that can get through there without being melted down to its least common denominator.
Rod, how long the Van Allen belt been in our Earth's magnetic field? All this
That was put.
yeah,
That
more,
was on. That's it. Haven't been there that long. The first they had to put the moon there.
who's there again? Who's there again, Rod? Who put the
Wh-
moon there?
Whoever the fuck these the Anunnaki people,
Yeah.
they was working with the Galactic Council to isolate Earth because we was blowing shit up. When they isolate the Earth, they had to block Lilith out to control the women. So they put the moon there. There was already an orb up there, but it was more amplifying to the Lilith energy, which gave the women the ability to produce both genders by parthenogenesis. When they took the old moon, the real moon away and put this spaceship moon up there, they got up there right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put the Dark Knight satellite in place about 250,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And these two projects the subconscious matter into the 3D reality. It's the holographic universe we talked about at the beginning, Rich.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you look at the holographic projector, remember I asked you, you know how the holographic projector works?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have one fixed going from um, left to right, and then the other one had to be fixed going right, I mean, up to down.
Mm-hmm.
And the projection of the hologram projects between the rays that both of them are projecting,
Mm.
right? So you need both the Dark Knight satellite
And the
and the moon to simultaneously project the hologram. The Fortnite simulation is the easiest way to compare it.
so
Take the Fortnite simulation, and now who's ever fighting the war, they can't never escape because they're so busy fighting the war, and it requires them to forget who they is and then wake up in the dream. But most of us don't believe that's a reality because you have people that's been taught to keep their job is to keep us from waking up. Yeah, that's the George Washington challenge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's also based on statements from Rothschilds and Rockefellers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they told us what they was doing to us. They told us how they were doing it. And when they was telling it to us, we never believed it was them when they identified themselves by telling us who was responsible for what was being done. So we was going along to get along and didn't even realize we was going along to get along with the wrong one because nobody won't say nothing.
Yeah, that's what you broke down with the moon and the not the Van Allen, the moon and the Dark Knight satellite. That's quite interesting because we don't hear a lot about the Dark Knight satellite. And I know Billy had the documentary, but outside of that, I don't hear a lot of people talk about the Dark Knight satellite. Uh,
Hmm.
so if it takes both of those to create the hologram, then that the Dark Knight satellite has been around just as long as this new moon you saying that was planted here by
They
these
put they had to be in conjunction in close proximity in time.
in time. Okay.
Now they never told us how long the moon been there. They estimate 2 billion years. But we know that the Dark Knight satellite only been up there, I think, either 25,000 or 250,000 years, right? But remember, the original moon was replaced with this spaceship, so that when you replace something with something else, it tends to paint that part of somebody's memory in, right? So you won't know exactly where the switch took place.
You ever do moon rituals, Rod? Full moon, half moon, new moon. You ever do moon rituals?
The moon is a timer. It's a timer. It's using the biology of the female as a timer, right? This is where you can trace back your Mayan calendar is operating off the lunar cycles, not the solar cycle. So the lunar's calendar is telling you how much of the dark energy you can use at any given time.
Right, right,
The
right.
phases of the moon is how much dark energy coming in, or Lilith energy is coming in. And that's why it took the women a couple thousand years, but they easily mastered the cycles of the moon. They just couldn't turn off the part that make them have involuntary menstrual cycles.
Mm, yeah. What we was talking about the Bible earlier and it being coded, and we talked about water earlier also, and the veil being thin and water, etheric water, all that type of stuff. Um,
Hmm.
what did Jesus walking on water symbolize for you, Rod? What was that a metaphor for? Jesus walking on water.
It's the sun, when the sun is rising up on the horizon,
Uh-huh.
Horus rising.
Or in the morning time.
Yeah, look. So the Jesus story is the story of Isis and Horus.
You talking about Venus?
No, the Jesus story in your Bible is the story of Isis and Horus. It's an excerpt from the Holy Drama.
Yeah.
Jesus walking on water is the sun rays, Ra, walking across the water as in reflecting on the waters during the rising of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The projection of it at some point gives you the appearance of the step pyramid,
I seen that. I seen that.
right? That's because they showing you what the horizon of the sun look like. The Horus rising.
Right.
The Horus rising symbol of the rising sun is the pharaoh headdress. That's the with the gold with the black lines in it, commonly referred to as the Tut headdress.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the god. That's the new pharaoh rising up as Horus across the horizon. The story in the biblical where it say Jesus walked on water, they using the name Jesus to identify both the mama and the son. Because remember, his name's supposed to be Emmanuel, but because the mother is so great, everybody just know it's her son. So he became referred to as Isis' son, right? Esau's son, which is your metaphorical Talmudic expression of Yahshua. But the New Testament was written in Greek. It wasn't written in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
It was written in Greek, and in Greek the word is Isis. So when they telling you the story of Isis and Horus rising, the new sun is ascending the throne. Metaphor, right? The throne is between the twin pillars, Revelation, where the dragon was waiting to devour the birth of the new child, which is the new age. The woman giving birth is Kali Ma, Mother Time. She's birthing a new age between the twin pillars, the Gemini twins, Joaquin and Boaz, right? Boaz, the family redeemer, right? So it's telling you the story of Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
It's tying all other stories together through the book of Revelation. Draco being the dragon, representing the reptile, the serpent, the Nagas. So you follow the Nagas, the wizards, those who can perform the rituals out in the public can get the most attention from the one who can understand the most ritual. And that's how you get to the top of the chain.
Mm.
He who knows the most ritual is the king of the ritual.
Yo, there's this dude. First of all, all right, I'm gonna get to this because I want to get to the dragons real quick. Because when you hear about the veil being thin, you always hear about the dragons. I'm gonna get to that, but I'll get to something that's similar to the whole dragon, and that is the idea of monsters. I mentioned Bobby a lot earlier. One thing Bobby said was that, and I like to ask different people this, but I definitely need to ask you this: is that we were the original monsters, and that's why they had to make us scared of the monsters. We was talking about the moon. I heard people say Moonstar, Monster. I don't know if they got Monster for Moonstar, but where did this term or this idea of monsters come from based on what is Bobby talking about when he says that?
So you ever see cave paintings of silhouettes, black silhouettes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just like it's not detailed paintings, they just silhouettes. Like that
Oh,
might be a hand.
yeah.
Okay, now you remember the puppet show we used to do with our fingers when we was little?
Mm-hmm.
That's a monster. The reflection on the wall is the monster,
Right.
right? It's not real. If the trees is carved in a certain way, when you bend the curve, the tree can look like it's making a spiral spinning motion, but the tree ain't moving. You just going around the tree around the curve,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a monster effect.
Okay.
It's an illusion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Over time, it became married to the thought form called the daemon or the demon.
Okay.
They're two different things, but they became tied at the hip like Siamese twins. The daemon was the energy that's produced when you write an app. The app performs a function. That function that the app is performing is being a daemon. Now, this was originally done using sigil magic for the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So they was using the sigil magic in order to write the code to upgrade their brain so they didn't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These became known as spirits, but they really what you call egregores. They are thought forms that generations of elders charged up and taught others how to charge and use it.
Mm-hmm.
Becomes so powerful over time, it takes on a life of its own. So you see, they teach you in the lodges. Secret societies teach you how to perform the ritual,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the rituals put you in a certain frame of energy, frequency of mind, right? All this is tied back to your demons, your egregores, and what was the ones you said?
Monsters.
Monsters, right? Because it all started with something that was going on in the mind, and they had to figure out a way to explain it,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
The confusion of the monster from the silhouette having the same amount of effect as the monster or egregore that's being created is misinformation,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't have the same effect. They serve two different purposes. So
Mm.
they're gonna have two different effects. The one they call daemon, that's why they say you demon possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you own a daemon, you don't have to study that field of knowledge. All you got to do is activate that daemon, and he'll provide that field of knowledge to you.
Mm.
Some people call them ancestral spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit is breath, right? So when they talk about ancestral spirit, as spiritus, the breath,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you breathe in your ancestors. So you're doing the energy exchange with your ancestors. Because what is breath? It's an exchange of energy. The body takes in the oxygen and releases the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and whatever other impurities come along with it, right? So the information exchange of or the fuel exchange takes place in the silence.
I want to show you something, Rod. I got a couple of more questions for you. This dude here's an Asian dude. I want to get him on the show. I seen a couple of shows that's pretty interesting. How I put this on? Give me a second. Since you mentioned dragons earlier, yo, people be swearing like people go hard with the dragon thing, like actually about the monsters. So, and when we talk about the veil being thin, dragons always come up. People always talking about dragons returning. So, I want to read you something. Dragons are not fantasy. They are real and they are waking up. First, dragons are eternal beings born from source, keepers of elemental fire, water, crystal, and solar plasma. Their original name was Dragonair, the starborn flame singers. Second, before the fall of Atlantis, dragons wove Earth's ley lines, built stargates, and taught ancient humans how to breathe plasma and speak in flame tones. Third, the true dragons are returning now. They are rising from inner earth and etheric temples to reconnect with those who carry the amethyst, emerald, and crystal lineages. This is not mythology. This is reunion. If you feel the call, speak the tone. Eskarata Dragonair. And say, reveal to me the flame. And he's just quoting. But what's your thoughts about this? The dragon and they're returning, and what he's saying about them building ley lines in ancient times before the fall of Atlantis, stargates, and teaching humans how to speak flame tones and breathe plasma. You're the perfect person to ask a question like this because you study so much ancient history. What's your thoughts on this, Rod?
I can pretty much agree with what he said, but just a little point out a few little pointers.
Yeah.
When you out there and you and your homeboys is growing up, and y'all hear an older guy macking a chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when y'all get back, y'all was like, man, he was spitting fire at her,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's the same. Dragging me master.
Mm.
Remember I told you that before?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the ancient spirits of the masters is the dragon spirit. The Draco spirit is actually the Naga spirit.
We talked
And
we talked about them earlier.
yeah, when they talking about the return of the Nagas, they talking about the return of the original blood.
Mm.
Yeah.
So so You saying the dragons that return is the original bloodline, the human dragons.
Hmm. Remember, the worst dragons on record was what? The Gorgon priestesses, right? They was dragon bulls. Remember?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Remember, Lilith was the dark sister, the dark mother.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she was considered as the dragon.
Mm.
You remember when she came back on the beginning of the Marvel comic and Thor and Loki standing out there and Thor threw his hammer at her and she crushed it?
Damn. Now that you say that, yeah.
That was when they was calling her Hela, the mother of Greece. She was coming back for what was hers, wasn't she? And what she told her?
Damn.
And what did Thor do? Thor left Earth to go protect Asgard. He ain't trying to protect her. Think about it. She
Right.
came back from being sentenced to so much time in the underworld. Remember what I told you the veil was?
Yeah.
Okay, now, while she's waking up from the slumber now, she's lifting the veil. When the veil is lifted, she comes forth as Helen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's Lilith by description, by character. It's the same character, different name,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who is the leader of the Gorgon? Right now, we getting into Medusa. See, we talking about this dragon energy. We talking about the energy of the first warriors of the earth, which was all women. They was the original first team guardians of the earth. They didn't need no men until they had to go to war with men.
Mm-hmm.
So then they had to come together to come up with a plan to produce a man. Them the serpents. Then the devotees to Kali Ma become the Thuggee. And this is why, as long as you call them us thugs, we don't care. We don't thug it out.
Mm.
It's the same energy. Only certain ones know how to use the old energy.
Right. Who you said Tupac was in a past life? You said
King Tut.
Tut. Right. That's who you said. Tut. And
It's
we
the boy. It's the boy king.
right.
The boy king is he's able to rule at an early age, but normally they won't let him because he's not. He haven't reached a certain age of life experience.
Mm-hmm.
So they give him a crash course in life experience by sending him all over the place like a ping pong ball.
Mm. Hmm. Shit get interesting.
Hmm.
Real interesting. What hold up, let me see something. What would you say, Rod? I noticed it's kind of weird, Rod. And what's weird is that when we're talking about the veil thinning and the world's merging and us being able to tap into things we wasn't previously able to tap into. But I'm noticing while this is happening, people are giving up on spirituality. People like just looking around on the internet, people are upset that I've seen several videos about people saying, gratitude is a scam. They don't like the idea of people telling us to always be thankful and appreciative. There's videos out there flowing around. I talked about this with, I think, Blue Pill a week or two ago, where a person, no, Red Pill, a person was mad. I forgot who it was, but a person with a couple of brother and somebody else made a video about the law of attraction and the secret, and they were like, "Yo, that shit is fake. It's it ain't real. The law of attraction. If my life ain't changed since I seen it." I get a sense that you mentioned Jesus earlier. Like you could teach somebody about spirituality, but if they cannot tap into it or utilize it the way you are, they will end up being mad at you for even telling them about it in the first place. And I'm like, damn, is that what happened to Jesus? He telling them, You could be equal to God. He's doing this shit. They can't do it. So now they mad at him and they call him a scam artist and all that. And they're like,
Yeah.
you a fraud. You ain't shit. So it's like it's interesting. We in this most important time, and people like, man, F that spirituality shit. That shit to work. And I'm like, yo, y'all giving up at the wrong time.
No,
But
they
what
ain't.
good? What you mean by that?
See, first of all, they are not as aware as they believe they are. So they got to go back and let life whoop them a little bit more. See,
Mm,
life got a couple more spankings to get their ass before they get to see straight.
mm,
So the ones who feel that way, they mad at religion and they taking it out on their spiritual development.
mm,
They ain't really mad at being taught spiritual practice. They mad at religion for misleading them about spiritual things. So in the first stage of waking up, they're throwing a tantrum,
mm,
right? They got to go through their tantrum to go back and get bopped upside the head and realize that religion is not spirituality. They're not the same thing. Having gratitude just opens the bandwidth,
mm,
right? That's all. The bandwidth of the frequency you already on. You can have gratitude and some fucked up stuff.
mm,
You gotta remember that. People can be grateful that somebody murdered somebody.
mm,
But when that grateful energy come back, it's coming back with some juice. Because it's gonna come back.
mm,
That says by being grateful and expressing it in a positive manner, make sure that everything you do come back to you with pure intention. But when you complaining about being grateful, don't nobody owe your ass nothing. And life will prove it to you if you think they playing. Life will put you in a position that you have to need so many people just to make it through the day that you get tired of calling on people just to help you make it through the day. Just to prove to you that you should be grateful to have this many people that you can call on. I'm gonna make sure you finna call on every motherfucker you know today about this problem. Life gonna put that obstacle in your path. You actually self-sabotaging, but you don't know it because your anger at gratitude. Gratitude is she kind of like extra feminine. She kind of like got Oshun energy. She don't like to be messed with, but when you piss her off, she the wrong one.
mm,
She rather give you back the love energy you exchanged than to give you back the hate energy that you showed.
mm, mm.
She's just a delivery person for karma.
Well, you said
Gratitude,
is the delivery person for what?
karma. She just tell karma how much of it you need.
That's some shit there, man. I like that. That's some game there, Rod. Yo, Rod said he said it with a smooth voice too. He said she just tell Karma how much you need. Oh, you gotta love this. You gotta love this information, y'all. You gotta love it. I have fun with this thing here, y'all. I have fun. Listen, some people in the chat, a couple of y'all, I seen a couple of y'all post about the animals. Let me show Rod this here. Hold
Yeah,
up.
you talking about the grizzly bears in
Yeah,
Yellowstone and the cougars in Yellowstone,
yeah.
all that.
Yellowstone fleeing animals spark imminent volcanic eruption concerns, but experts say what's really going on. We're not gonna worry about that. Those quote unquote experts. I want to ask you what's going on, Rod. You heard about this yet?
Do you remember one of my first shows I did with you? I said if you want to know which way to go, follow the animals.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that was one of our first shows, Rich. Now you seen the animals tell you get the hell away from Yellowstone. Yellowstone been having the geyser on the verge of eruption for fucking 75 years,
Mm,
right? And none of the animals never left like this before in
mm-hmm,
that whole time. Now they getting in the wind. The bison ain't the only thing leaving from there. Bears is, mountain lions. We don't even know how many rodents is leaving from there, running from them underground burrows.
Mm-hmm.
or how many birds that flew away from Yellowstone, but we know that the way that the animals behaving, this about to be big.
Mm. You know how you talk about the Grand Canyon and talk about what it used to be in ancient times.
Hmm.
What can you tell us about Yellowstone Park? What was Yellowstone Park 5,000 years ago or whatever? What was that like?
Those were hot salt baths. They
Okay.
too hot now. They get too hot now, but they were a lot more shallow back then, and they didn't hold as much heat, so you was able to use them for healing purposes. And the Epsom salt draws out the cortisol in the system, the stress hormones and stuff, and so you would use the hot spring. Now they hot lakes, water hot enough to burn the skin off of you.
Mm,
But it wasn't like that back then,
mm,
right? Well, I'm just using the time frame when the Grand Canyon looked like a glistening city of glass with the water that was at the top of the canyon,
mm, mm,
right? That was an original geographical design, engineered design,
mm,
right? But they was looking for a certain ambiance in the atmosphere and able to draw on a certain frequencies stronger.
mm,
So that's what I'm using as the time marker to tell you that Yellowstone Springs wasn't always this hot. And at that time that everything was bustling over here, the springs were shallow and they were warm, but they wasn't hot enough to hurt you, like harm you from the heat. You more likely, if you stayed in there too long, to dehydrate from the salt in the water absorbing the moisture from your body.
mm,
That was more of a concern, but
mm.
different people was coming in using it for different stuff back then. We've been here a long time, man. These modern dates is the most erroneous thing that you could possibly imagine to be connected to the truth.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. One thing I meant to ask you earlier when we was talking about the moon, and you was talking about how this is a new moon that got put here. I think you said 150,000 years ago or something like that. And we always hear about people talk about the moon's connection to women. What is the moon's connection to money? They said money comes from moon, moony money. They said the word money actually is derived from the moon. So how does the moon impact our finances or our wealth or what we got in our pocket, Rod?
When you're talking about moon magic for money, you're talking about the magic of manifestation of silver. The properties of the metal silver is the baseline for the frequency that you're trying to tap into. That's why they call it the silvery moon,
Mhm,
right? This talking about the silver key, the silver cord. The money passed through the mother line got to come down the silver cord by heritable birthright. That's what they're talking about for real.
mm,
So all of the women that's doing matriarchal birthright ceremonies, they calling their money home.
mhm,
If they ain't doing them, they should be doing them to call their money home because all they're gonna do is make the earth start healing faster. And people be thinking that when you do your magic, you got to put curses out on people. Sometimes you put a curse on a person by just asking for what's yours to be returned,
mm,
and they curse themselves because they're trying to keep it from you, and so they get in the way.
mm, mm,
And so now your return call becomes like a proverbial steamroller, and they become the rodent that get trapped on the tar while you steamrolling it out.
mm. Damn.
Should have
Shit.
left you alone. Look, the women don't understand the level of power they have by calling a matriarchal birthright back. You just got to know where your matriarchal birthright is belongs at, because when they call it back, that's where you're gonna end up at. But if you don't want to end up there, don't call it back. But if you want your birthright and you call it back, you can end up with exactly where your birthright belongs. Going to have to be for your birthright to come home.
Mhm, mhm,
And I would recommend that every witch, tarot reader, or oracle reader, seer that's women, just call they stuff back and ask for their sisters to have theirs back too.
mhm.
Because that's going to give them back control of the earth over time. They just got to keep saying it. You got to put enough energy in the atmosphere to change the algorithm. Just like computers, the same thing. It's just dealing with the human mind.
Right, right. Indeed. Let's I want to get to about two questions before we get out of here. Okay, no, I seen Slim Ben asked this. Please ask him if he heard about the 169,000 mile long plasma burst that the sun released recently. You heard anything about that, Rod?
Yes, sir. That ain't the only one. That's just one.
Man.
They've been sending out some of the most powerful solar flares ever seen in the last 6 months.
Mm,
But the Schumann resonance has been responding to all of them.
mm,
You need to read them together. If you're gonna study astrology, study astronomy.
mm.
Read them together. If you're gonna study gematria, study numerology. Learn them together.
Right.
Keep the couples together. You won't have no divorce.
I like that word. Like, give me some more questions in the chat. I wanted to ask Rod something from this book, but I don't see it. I don't see it here
What
now.
book is
It's an ebook I got, but it's called the Book of Wisdom.
it? Hmm.
Let me see. Damn, I don't know. Hold up, give me a second. I don't know if you can see this. Let me put it on the full screen. When we talk about atoms, because they say everything in this holographic matrix is made of atoms, including this phone, these blue light glasses I have, this statue I got right here. Everything is made of atoms. I wanna. They said we've been lied to. Hold up, let me put this. Give me a second, y'all. Let me get this thing together. Let me put on my full screen, and I want to show y'all something. If y'all can see this. All right, Rock, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
They said this right here is the fake atom that they showed us in school with the center, the nucleus, and the I guess the shit swirling around it like it's a galaxy or something like that.
Yeah. Electron. Yeah.
Yeah, they said that this is how the real atom look. It looks like a torus field or whatever. But they saying that's how the atom. It almost, you know what? If you look close, it look just like a goddamn alien. You know them grays and shit that they show us. You see, you see the eyes? Hold on, let me. What you know? What I'm talking about? This one right here. Don't that look like a goddamn alien family? That
Yeah.
looks just like an alien that they show us, just like a big eye alien. But what's your thoughts on? They even got deciduous Saturn and shit like that. You know, interesting.
Okay. Look, both of those are right.
Okay, talk to me. Talk to me, right?
One of them is fixed position, no motion.
Yeah.
All right. That one you can clearly see the proton, the neutron, and the electron.
Mm-hmm.
That's a specific uh, atomic weight. That's helium.
Mm,
So they're showing you the positions of what has to be present for helium to exist. The
mm-hmm.
other one, we can't tell which atom it is because whatever the electrons around it is, they're in motion. So it's creating a blurred effect, which is making it look like it's hazed over with a torsion field or a cloud.
Mm,
That's because the electrons are moving too fast around the outside of the atom. You can't see them,
mm.
but you can see the effect of them. So they both right. They're just different expressions of the same problem.
Okay.
And if you even look, if you go to the Metatron's cube, Metatron's cube is based on the same geometric structure, Metatrans Cube is supposed to be the outline of the structure of creation,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then the Metatrans Cube end up taking you to what's called the Star of Life that look like the Epcot Center, the big ball,
Right.
right? But those are all of that is different particles of creation expressed in different ways in order for you to teach the physics to the children without the restriction of thinking getting in the way.
Indeed. All right, let's get to one last question, and then we're gonna head on. Yo, Rod, is your cash app back up?
Yeah, yeah. I ended up opening up a PayPal too because my Cash App was jacked up, but they both functional right now.
Oh, you know what? I want to take you. All right, let me get that real quick, family. Let me, because I said I was gonna give y'all this earlier. The donation. If you want to send a donation for the tobacco, the cigars, it's PayPal. It's a new PayPal. It's not Cash App or none of that. You could go to UGR Productions at Yahoo. The donation for that is $30. And or you can send more, and I'll make sure I send you some cigars or one cigar or whatever. But make sure you leave your address. Make sure you leave an address. And this ain't Amazon, as Panic used to say. Be patient. It'll ship in like 10 business days, 7 to 10 business days once I get payment. So be patient. But and I spelled tobacco wrong. But yeah, that's the PayPal. I know y'all been asking for that a while. That's the PayPal, UGR Productions at yahoo.com. Rod, give me your what do you want? What do you want to use? Your Cash App or your PayPal?
I mean, it don't matter because some people don't have Cash App anyway. They only got PayPal, so you can put both of them up.
Give me your PayPal, Rod.
My PayPal is the same as my Cash App, 01 at the end of it.
So 6801
Yeah,
at what?
at Cash App.
No. That's an email. What's your email for the PayPal?
Oh, but the email is Chief Pontiac. Right? I don't use the email.
No, what I'm saying is for them to send you, for those who want to send you the PayPal donation, don't they
Yeah,
need?
they go to PayPal.
But they need your.
You go to no, they just go to PayPal and put they put Rod Hayes at 6801 and it'll come up.
Okay, all right. Let me
I
just put.
think it's the same picture, that profile picture I got on here.
All right. So that's the that's the brother's PayPal right there. Let's
You got the at sign in front of 68. That's it.
okay, let me put that again.
That's if you don't have Cash App, but Cash App on some retarded stuff, man. They start they start charging interest on transactions.
Yeah, they yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um Give me one more question. PayPal last sick. Yeah, give me one more question, and then we're gonna get out of here. And let me see if I got some super chats. I don't know if Rod heard about. You heard is Area 51 on fire?
I haven't heard about Area 51 being on fire, but
Yeah,
it was one of them it was another base that flooded. I heard about that.
right. Yeah, I gotta see what's going on. I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about that.
It's highly
Yes.
unlikely if it's on fire, it stays.
Mm,
Most of the buildings is metal and concrete, and
mm-hmm,
it's not enough flammable debris to just catch fire like an old wood building.
mm-hmm,
So if it's on fire, it stays. It's
mm-hmm,
deliberate. It's to give a message to somebody.
mm. Interesting.
Yeah, I
Uh
mean, you can't burn. How many brick buildings you heard burned out?
right.
It's not likely, and most like everything over there is literally like steel, and it's not even enough office space. If all the office space, and they're not even close enough to burn the office space to have enough to have any fire with any significant magnitude. So you would have to have an artificial uh, uh, means to start that fire, like a gas line break, fill the gas, strike what you call a thing, a flare, throw the flare on the broken gas line type stuff. It's not nothing there to burn like that. Like the tumbleweeds don't collect there that much. They
Mm,
keep that stuff pretty much under control with defenses,
mm-hmm.
right? So if you got a fire at Area 51, it's deliberate. 9 out of 10 is deliberate.
Mm.
And the
Wow.
question is, what's the motive?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only question to be left.
Well, last question before we get out of here, Rod. Somebody wants to know, what role does Arizona play in the lifting of the veil?
Anybody that ever traveled from where we are, highly populated, densely populated in the Northeast, and went to California, you can, or Arizona or New Mexico, as you make that trip, you can feel the energy as it changes. All right, that's not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ancient spiritual sites that have a lot of high energy frequency artifacts just weave throughout the Arizona, Southern California to New Mexico terrain. Even in parts of Nevada, the southwest parts of Nevada, they still have powerful energy residue from being used for ritual purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us can sense that and pick that energy up. And when we vibrate at a certain frequency, we can use it to break free.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this is individual. Normally your spirit path gonna make you walk the journey that'll take you to those lands like Mount Shasta and different places to activate certain energy centers based on who you is. Some of us don't have to make all of them trips, but
Mm.
we just got to be on our home turf.
Damn. Speaking of Arizona, that somebody in the chat just said the Grand Canyon was on fire.
Yeah, that happened quite a few times over the years.
Oh yeah. Okay. They
Yeah,
said.
that's not uncommon. Most of that be a methane pocket that rupture,
Uh-huh.
and the easiest way to just burn it off, keep people from getting sick from gas, inhaling that gas. They normally burn it off, but it's rare they like it's not gonna be no massive fire where the whole Grand Canyon gonna get burned down. It's just not gonna happen.
Okay. I see what
But you will have pockets of fires in the Grand Canyon that's not outside the norm.
you. Right. 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 Okay, okay, man. Well, listen, man. With that being said, Rob, man, what would you want to tell us, man, to close out the show? The veil getting thinner. I tell you, some people saying F this. Some people 10 toes down. They in it. They really want to tap in. What's your advice for this time that we in right now, Rob? With this
You will
veil?
always tell everybody make the judgment call based on your circumstance, situation, because all of ours is not the same, right? There's no cookie cutter answer for everybody because we didn't all come out of cookie cutters when we came into this world.
Mm-hmm,
So our remedy and our resolution is not going to be the same person to person,
mm-hmm. Indeed.
right? But pay attention to your path, pay attention to your senses. You know better than what you think you know.
Mm,
You just got to learn to believe in yourself. Once you learn to believe in yourself again, you'll learn how to free yourself again. Most of it comes from lack of the self confidence and the belief in who we are to accomplish the goal before us,
mm-hmm,
right? But as long as we keep our minds with the possibility that we can wake up, the possibility of waking up is present. As
mm-hmm,
soon as you rule it out that you already know everything, you just blocked your path from waking up
mm-hmm,
because you know it all already. Can't run around and tell people they wrong, and then when they say what's the right answer, you tell them you don't know.
mm-hmm,
Like, if you don't tell them they wrong, you got to show them where they wrong at, or you shut your mouth and sit back and watch.
mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of people out there now. don't know the right answer, but because it came from certain people, they say it's the wrong answer.
Mm,
The answer don't care what vessel it came in. You ask the question, you got the answer. Just don't mean you're gonna like it,
mm.
right? Everybody ain't supposed to always agree, but people believe that we're supposed to always agree. There's certain fundamental things that we might always agree on. If parents supposed to protect their children, it's like a universal principle,
Mhm.
right? Parents put their life on the line to protect their children. There's too many people now trying to put their children life on the line to live their life like children,
Mm.
right? So you
Wow.
trying to once you have them babies, they the future. You obligated to do the best you can in this world by them, right? So you got a lot of people out there that's still trying to search for their day in the sun at the expense of their children's well-being.
Mhm.
Mental, emotional, spiritual development is being neglected because mama want to go to drinking parties and hang out with different guys, and daddy ain't nowhere around because he can't get along with mama because she keep going to these drinking parties, hanging out with all these guys, and he too insecure.
Right.
Whatever the case may be, the focus ain't on the grown folks when they have babies. Once you grown, your life you owe your life to them children you made,
Mm.
and that's where you get your sense of responsibility to protect your children and be of service to your children because they didn't ask you to bring them here. You brought them here.
Mhm.
But since they here, now you got to give up your life in order to preserve theirs. If you can make your sacrifice for their life for the first 18, 20 years, then they'll make it when you're on your decline for you.
Mm.
When you ain't putting in that work, when you ain't doing nothing to teach them how to take care of nobody that's elderly and sick, they ain't gonna know how to take care of your ass when you get elderly and sick. They didn't see you taking care of their grandmama, their uncle, their auntie, but now all of a sudden you want to automatically know how to take care of your sorry ass. You was too busy out clubbing, you didn't have time to take care of nobody else. Displaced priority. Your priorities together. Everybody worrying about the awakening, but ain't nobody trying to wake up. They all trying to figure out, do I got enough time to hit the snooze button again? Ain't no more snoozers. You know what they say? You snooze, you lose. Early bird get the worm, don't get no sleep.
Oh, that's fire. Real quick, Rod, I had this conversation with somebody. It was a couple of months ago, and I remember I don't know who I was talking to, but somebody told me who told me this that the old folks home that they used to work in the old folks home and it's filled with men and nobody comes to visit them because when they were young they didn't help. They didn't think about their children and they didn't think about their family. So now that they're old, a lot of she said, I forgot who said this. It was I don't know if I seen it on TV, but I heard it from a woman. Some sister said it, but they was like the men are old and they regret it and they realize the mistakes they made because nobody gives a f about them at that point in life because they didn't give a f about nobody earlier on in life. So yeah, that what you just said just made me think about that. So yeah, that's facts, Ron.
Look, don't nobody know how to live this life until somebody that been living it teach them what they learned.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody now born with no blueprint, with no operator's manual, right? We not born with no guidelines, no rule. We got to figure it out. And if we want our children to be attentive to our needs, we got to be hands on teaching our children or have at least letting our children see us take care of the elders that's before us. If we don't want to take care of the old folks, put them in the old folks' home. The more you say put them in the old folks' home, the longer we going to need the old folks' home.
Hmm.
Right? But as soon as you say, this my mama, this my daddy, this my uncle, I'm taking care of them, whatever it takes. If they that sick, they only got a limited amount of time anyway. Your sacrifice, How long can it be? It ain't gonna be no 75 years. You know, most of the time people going to hospice got less than a year to live,
Mm,
right? Most people in the old folks home, they in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Most of them don't have 10 years on the books left, right? But if you got an elder that's in clear mind and can communicate clear, and you can keep them around until they 120, because they got their family there with them. He keep everything, tell you what every mistake you gonna make before you make it, and how to keep from making it. Because he done lived and seen all of the other ones live too. The ones that made it and the ones that didn't.
mhm.
Right. So the way that we treat our elders is teaching the youth how to treat us.
Right. Facts, man. Listen, man, I want to thank you once again, Rob, for coming on the show and dropping gems.
Always a blast, brother. Always a blast.
Indeed, man. Now listen, I'm glad you enjoyed the cigar. I'm gonna make sure I send you some of the small joints so you could enjoy yourself and tap in and focus to you on your spirituality, my brother. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We still got about 3,000 people in the chat. Shout out to all of y'all on this Wednesday. I will be back Friday. I'm not sure with who yet, but thanks for tuning in. All right, family. Make sure if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get notified for when the next video will be uploaded. All right. With that being said, Rob, thank you, my brother. I'm gonna talk to you soon on the phone.
Brother Rich. I'll talk to you later.
Peace. Peace, family. I will see y'all Friday, like I said. Friday, all right, family? Everybody have a good night.